Hey guys, Divine EOAE here. This video is going to be a tutorial for level 80 for Guild Wars 2. One thing I hear the most from people I play with and friends is that they don't know what to do at level 80. So this is just going to be a simple overlaying guide as to what you can do and what I would do in my personal opinion to help you enjoy the game a little bit more, so it's a little bit less daunting. So I'm going to go over the PvE options and the PvP options both, and at a later date, very soon, I'm going to come out with more content to dive into each of these options individually so that you can get a better grasp of it and you don't have to be so overburdened by it. So let's get started. Depending on where you're at, if you're just getting to level 80 after grinding, leveling a character from level 1 to 80 in the free-to-play core game, or if you got the expansions, that includes Path of Fire, which is the second expansion, and Heart of Thorns that comes with it for free. And then you also get a level 80 boost. So a lot of people will use their boost without playing the game, and then they don't know what's going on. So in my opinion, starting with the core story allows you, whether you boost or not, allows you to get to know your character. You get to learn your rotation and just the basic outline of the game. You know, navigating, map usage, map completion. Hitting those vistas, those hero points, all that, and it allows you to get a better base understanding. Once you get that done, moving on to the expansion stories is a good place to start. So Heart of Thorns is the first expansion, and it unlocks a bunch of stuff for you, and that is the beginning of the mastery tab. So you have Central Tyria masteries that you can do, and I'll touch base on where you can get those at a later date. Heart of Thorns opens up gliding for you, which is probably the biggest thing that I would say helps you in your everyday endeavors with this game. And then also raid buffs for later on if you want to touch into the harder content. So being able to glide is very nice. One, it alleviates the chances of dying from falling because you just double tap space in the air and it allows you to glide. And then there's upgrades for it and stuff like that you can get later down the road, which again I will touch base on in later content. Getting the story done just gives you a firm understanding of the lore, and it's a good place to start for getting experience, because you need experience in order to level up your masteries and get those unlocked, along with the mastery points that you have to find from doing achievements or finding them on the map. And there's plenty of guides out there that show you how to do that. So that's one of the basic things. Gliding is super important, super good, and so on and so forth. And then Path of Fire you want to do for the mounts. Path of Fire opens up all the mounts, so the Raptor, the Springer, the Skimmer, Jackal, Roller Beetle, Griffin, and Skyscale. The Roller Beetle and the Skyscale come from the Living Story, and Living Story I'll touch on later. They are the interconnecting storylines in between the expansions that ArenaNet releases every so often. If you're new to the game, you're probably gonna have to purchase them. Unless you hop in real soon, then you can start getting some more free chapters, as we are revisiting some of the Living Stories sections, and they will send you free vouchers in your character's mail to unlock those chapters. Otherwise, you will have to pay some gems, which is the in-game store currency, in order to get those unlocked. But they're not super crucial, but they are good to get just to get the content. And like the Skyscale, for instance, is part of the Living Story, which is the actual everlasting mount, flying mount, versus the Griffin that is more of a gliding machine than anything. And I will go over these later as well. So that's the main story stuff. That is obviously always a good thing to dive into first, just to knock out, campaign completion, and then go on and do all of the auxiliary activities. But you can always branch out and do other things in between, as to not burn yourself out and to stay interested in the game. My next suggestion is going to be fractals. So fractals also known as Fractals of the Mists. You can access those via Lion's Arch, which is the main hub city for Guild Wars 2. And fractals are basically mini dungeons. So there are 100 fractals, tier 1 through T4, and ranging from difficulty. So as you can see here, T4, you have your personal fractal level, and then personal agony resistance, and I'll go over that later. But little dungeons, fractals are a good way to make money and get loot, and it starts you on your journey to getting a full set of ascended gear, which is above exotic and allows you to place agony infusions that allow you to dive deeper into the fractals. So that includes armor, weapons, your trinkets, rings, and everything else that goes with it. I personally did not know much about fractals when they were released. I was very self-conscious about my ability to play the game, so I was very nervous to dive in, and I lost a lot of time and a lot of money, or a lot of gold, due to not diving in sooner. They're really not that bad. And T1s are super easy. If you find a guild or anybody, anything else, friends, or even me, we can always run some lower tiers and get you initiated in those. That's what I was trying to do with my guild, was get people into fractals who had not done them before and who were afraid to do them because they didn't know what was going on with them. And it's a good side content to do. I always do my dailies when I'm on, just to get some loot. And as you go up the tiers, if you do T2, you get T1 and 2 rewards. If you do T3, you get T1 through 3 rewards, so on and so forth. With T4, you get all the rewards at once as you get the dailies done, and it speeds up. So it's very nice in that regard. I will definitely dive into fractals deeper in content later on, so stand by for that. All right, next, once you get exotic gear minimum, you can start doing strikes, and I will show you up in the Eye of the North. If you have Path of Fire, you should automatically get this unlocked as another hub for what they call strikes, and strikes are a introductory pathway into raids. So there's 6 strikes, and they are basically individual boss fights that teach you coordination with 10 people on avoiding stuff and getting through the boss fights, and you get more rewards based on your time and all that. So strikes are good side content to do. There's a daily one, and then there are the loot chests over here that you can use the shards that you get and the crystals to get loot weekly once you complete all of the given strikes above. And you get the echoes and the hums, and then you get some fat loot for some crystals that you get for doing daily strikes. So it's pretty good in that regard. Like I said, it teaches you the basics and gets you kind of warmed up for raiding. On the core side of things, you can always do the world boss rotations. I have the world boss portal device, which is pretty nice. You can get it out of the store, and it allows you to just teleport quickly to the bosses. However, you can look up a guide as to where the bosses are, where to find them. Once you figure it out once, you'll be able to do it. They always drop exotic gear, or not exotic all the time, rare, sorry. And it's just a good basic start to getting some loot and getting some globs of ectoplasm and all of that good stuff. So if you're looking for something to do, that's a good place to start. You can also get ascended gear from Tequatl, and he sometimes drops good caches along with some of the other bosses. They have a chance to drop caches that give you exotic weapons or armor, and that is actually where I've gotten a few of my pieces from doing that on the daily. Getting to level 80, especially if you own the expansions, you're going to want to do hero point trains. You don't have to go with the hero point trains. You can do them yourself or with a couple people, but the expansion hero points are a lot more difficult, and most of them you won't be able to solo by yourself unless you are optimized at that point, because you're going to want to be able to unlock all the hero points for your elite specializations. And that's going to be in build, training, and then the elites. So for the Guardian, Dragon Hunter, and Firebrand, you need a lot of hero points to complete each one of these elite specializations, and you get some exotic gear when you start it, and you get another piece when you end it. And that's a good place to start so that you have more build options for the way you want to play your character. And then I touched briefly on raids. The raids, all you gotta do in Lion's Arch on the south end, over by where you can do fractals, you will have the Aerodome waypoint once you get in there, but the raid lobby is on the south side. Notably, a giant red circle is at the base of this manta ray looking sculpture slash building. All you gotta do is come over here, and you get over here and you go through here. It puts you into the Lion's Arch Aerodrome. Sorry. This is where all of the entry points to all the raids are going to be, but raiding is an option for those people that love to do it, who have had experience with other games and doing it. That is going to be some content for you. So that is most of the PvE content that is available. Like I said, start with the story, get a feel for your character, and go from there. Now on the PvP side, you have structured PvP, which is just your typical 5v5, and you can do unranked, ranked, and there are custom games with custom arena tokens and all that you can join too. I personally do not do that, but that is an option. So the PvP lobby, you have unranked, ranked, it tells you when the season ends, and then you can view your rewards from that here, and then you do get reward track progress, so you can get loot from PvPing as well. You can also get tomes of knowledge through most of these tracks that you can use to level up other characters, and eventually you don't even have to like grind out if you don't want to, as I have almost 500 tomes in my bank alone, and that allows me to level up a fair share of characters from level 1 to 80 without having to do much. So that's an option there. I will say play some unranked. You do need to get a certain level. I believe PvP rank 25 before you can jump into ranked. Once you get to 25, I would recommend, if you feel comfortable with where you're at in PvP, go ahead and jump into ranked. You can join in with no more than 2 people in a party, and that helps to prevent 5 stacks from completely rolling with optimized builds. That does cause a little bit of chaos, and sometimes people, feel that the PvP is, a little crazy, and it can be. There's a lot of people with a lot of sustainable builds that, will make you feel like you're not doing any damage. You can't touch them. They're just invincible, and it does get a little bit frustrating, but definitely give it a shot. Maybe it's your thing, and that's just, content there. And then World versus World, of course. There's some changes coming down the pipeline here soon. The Alliance beta's coming out in the next few months. But for now, depending on your server, you're going to be paired up against other servers. And that's going to just be a large-scale battles, basically. Taking forts, taking the castle in the middle of Eternal Battlegrounds. As you can see, it automatically changes my gear to my World versus World build, which is pretty nice. But you got this territory here that you can take for your server, and you got each Borderlands homeland for each main server, and then Edge of the Mist is for some skirmishes if you wish to. And I will dive deeper into this in later content. And yeah, you just look for a tag. The commander will be tagged up. You can, like me, I have my commander tag. People can see me, people can join in on me, and the commanders typically lead the charges in World versus World. It's a little, you can still do little roaming parties if you want to without a commander, but sometimes it can be a little boring if you are by yourself and then you get ganked and all that good stuff, your typical PvP stuff. But that's the PvP content. And then of course you can go for your legendary grinding and stuff like that, and doing meta events throughout the world, and both Heart of Thorns and Path of Fire. They have their own meta events that drop loot specifically for a lot of the newer legendary weapons and armor that you can get. You can get legendary armor sets through PvP, World versus World, and raiding, which is World versus World is what I'm currently working on myself, and I almost achieved my first piece after so many years. A lot of people get it faster. I haven't been working on it super hard, so just another thing that you can complete. Those are some basic goals that you can do, and basic things you can do once you hit level 80. Hopefully this video wasn't too daunting in itself, but that kind of gives you an idea where to start, where you can start, and go from there. Appreciate your guys' time. Hopefully this helped.